Hi, everyone. Dorothea Hendriks here, your communication coach and presentation skills and in public speaking. Today, we're going to look at a topic, reframing, looking at things in a different way, coming at a situation from a different perspective. There are many times in our lives when we have a lot of negative thoughts flooding us, taking us over. Maybe somebody passed away. Maybe somebody lost a job. Maybe there's been a divorce. Something has happened, and we are just filled with negativity and resentment. In fact, it's mountains and mountains and mountains of stress just piling onto you. And today, what I'd like to do is, from notes that I've made in terms of my own life, is give you seven steps to help you reframe your life. When I look at stress, and there are a lot of definitions of stress, basically, stress is looking at a situation, looking at something that happened, and wishing that it was different, wishing that it hadn't happened, wishing that it wasn't so, wishing that that's not the way it was. But we can't change the situation. What we can do, however, is change how we look at it, change our perspective of it. When we change how we look at it and change our experience of it, in that process, we have moved away from our negative thinking. We have moved away from our negative thinking and are now with positive thinking that basically looks at opportunity, opportunity for change and to look at something from a different way. So, as I said, reframing is a way of looking at things, changing how we look at things, and looking at them from a different perspective. When we do that, when we do try to look at things from a different perspective, we open ourselves we open ourselves up to an abundance of new opportunities, a different way of looking at something that would not have been possible before. And from my own experience of reframing and changing my thinking, looking at things from a different perspective, I find that the process can be absolutely liberating. Now, there are many different ways to describe the process of reframing, but here are seven steps I made notes that I find might help you change your thinking. They're easy, but they do require patience. They require persistence. It's not an automatic thing where our thinking just goes, oh, I'm going to go from negative and become a positive thought. Oh, anybody who's tried to do that knows that it takes just a bit more. So it requires patience, persistence, and it requires a passion for change. If you don't want to change, then there's no point even thinking about this. You have to have a passion, want to change your thinking. So that's the very first step. In reframing in seven steps, the very first step is you have to have a burning need, a burning desire to make a change in your thinking. Make a change in your thinking. Number two, start tuning in. Become aware of your thoughts. Become aware of the thinking that you've got. Pay attention and recognize when your thinking is negative and how it makes you feel. And we're not Daffy Ducks. We know our thoughts. We know when we're happy and we got happy thoughts, and we know when we're down and we've got negative, debilitating thoughts. And when you've got those thoughts, pay attention. Recognize those negative thoughts for what they are and how they make you feel. Number three, when you find yourself in that negative mode, that negative thinking, stop. Stop. It may sound impossible, but you can stop. You can catch yourself immediately and say, whoa, that's a wretched thought. That's a negative thought. That's a shitty thought. I'm not going to have that thought. Stop. Watch your thoughts. This is number four. Observe your thoughts. It's almost sometimes like they have a life of their own, this negativity. You become aware of what you're thinking, become focused. Understand, recognize your thought, be focused, stay in the present, no jumping ahead, No jumping behind, no diving into past history, and no jumping forward into the future. Stay focused on the present. What's your thought right now? What's your thought right now? And something that I found really helpful, it's an extra work, is to write down my thought. Write down your negative thoughts. Keep a record of the negative thoughts and what is triggering them. I found I didn't spend a lot of time. I looked at the triggers so that I knew what kind of triggered my negative thought, but I didn't spend a lot of time on them. It's just when I wrote them down, it's almost like I pulled them outside of me and I put them here on paper. And now I could look at them from a distance. Look at them from a distance, and it was different. Now I felt like I had some element of control because I could look at it from a distance. And it just made a difference. It gave me more opportunity. I felt I had more opportunity for change. And number 6, when you see that thought, challenge your thoughts. Challenging our thoughts doesn't mean we fight them. We berate them. We are hard on ourselves. We're critical of ourselves. We call ourselves stupid. None of that makes any sense because the thoughts are us. These thoughts come from us. They are part of us. So challenging them is basically saying, "Oh, you're here? You know what? I don't want you here anymore. You may have served me well at one time, but now you have to take your vacation, go on a holiday, and I'd like you to go from here to over there," or whatever your language is. Recognize what you're feeling, accept what you're feeling, say what I'm feeling is what I'm feeling. But now I'd like to feel this. You know your negative thought. You don't want to push it down. You don't want to berate it. Recognize it for what it is. You don't need that negative thought anymore. Recognize what you're feeling, accept that feeling, and say, and now I'm going to do this. And bring in a positive thought. Number 7, replace your thoughts with more positive thoughts and life affirming thoughts. And the other thing here that I find, I would sometimes take myself really seriously. In fact, negative thinking is serious thinking because somewhere there's a blame, there's a rightness, there's something in that negative thinking. But I found with the positive thoughts, sometimes just taking myself lightly. This isn't, things happen, life changes. One decade is not the same as the next. One day is not the same as the next. And so looking for the opportunities that can help me feel better, help the people around me feel better, help me move up. Looking at the positive thoughts and holding them lightly. I'm going to wrap up with a quote by Dan Millman. I love this quote when I saw it, and you may have heard it before, but let me share it with you again. Life does not control you. Life does not control you. What you believe about it does. Take notice of what thoughts you choose to fill your mind with each day. Our thoughts draw us to whatever is dominating our mind. So always keep what you are thinking about in check. Until next time, this is Dorothea Hendriks wishing you mountains of success.